All right, we're going to get this show on the road. Thank you all for coming. This is an exciting evening, once again, at the House of Web3 in San Francisco, in the Presidio. Lots of exciting stuff here. On the book for tonight, we just want to thank our sponsors, Tonic, Lifted, for everything that they do. Two great projects you should check out, NFTs and AI. And thanks again to Crypto Mondays for everything that they do globally. This is kind of the second iteration of what we're doing with Crypto Mondays SF post-pandemic. And yeah, in lieu of that, we should bring up Lou himself, the founder of Crypto Mondays, who will speak a few words before the panel comes up. Thanks, Lou.
Thanks a lot, Kyle. Crypto Mondays started January 8th, 2018. The genesis was I'd started multiple meetups. And one day, years before I got into crypto, and one day I get an email saying, hey, you do meetups, we're a bar restaurant. If you want to do a meetup on a Monday, we'd be happy to host you for free. And I thought about it 2 seconds, and I wrote them back and said, hey, thanks a lot for your kind offer. But what I'd really like is 10% of the bar and every Monday till the end of time. And they wrote back and said, great, when can you start? That was January 8th, 2018, which happened to be the peak market cap day. We were actually celebrating for 2 years. We were celebrating, the start of crypto winter. But we had 300 people at the first one, 350 people at the second one, when it decided to blow it out around the world, decentralized. I had no rules to start with. After 3 months, I had to make one rule. And the one rule is you cannot email me and ask me permission to do something. What part of decentralization did you not understand? And today there are more than 50 active chapters around the world, and it's awesome. I've been to 34, and it's great to be able to come and have awesome guys like Sean and Kyle, running the chapter here and building something up. So let's give them a big hand for what they're doing. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Lou. And now we'll pass it over to the moderator, Sean Gear. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, guys. So I wanted, let's see who comes first here. So thank you again for tonic.xyz. So we kind of barged in on their happy hour a little bit. You can figure out how to get to their website, I think, based on the slide, and get some nice NFT prints and things like that. So please check them out. Okay, I can work it remote. So do you guys want to talk? Yeah, George, okay.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for coming out tonight. So if you haven't been to the House of Web3 before, Edgenode, the company that I work for, is a core developer of the Graph Network. We wanted to put together a physical venue for the Web3 community. So what better place than the Presidio of San Francisco? If you're curious about learning more, scan that QR code or find me and we'll talk.
Thank you guys for doing what you do. It's a joy to come here and work with so many talented, creative people. Our Crypto Mondays main sponsor is the Lifted Network. So the Lifted initiative is making Manifest, which has what we believe is the best layer 0 distributed AWS like compute services. And we are working within the Morpheus network, which I'm surprised more people in this area don't know. So they have over 500 million of staked ETH, of eigenlayer enabled staked ETH powering their network. So they're seem very likely to give the established players a run for their money. I recommend looking them up. And if you are interested in developing your AI project alongside them, they're one of my clients, so you can come talk to me or scan the QR code that is in the other room. Okay, I keep hitting the wrong button. So I don't think this POAP works. I think I registered it too late, so sorry. Oh, God, okay. We'll get there. Okay, great. So I'd love to introduce our panelists. You guys can come on the stage if you want. So Nicole Thomas. On the left is the community manager for Geo, which is she will tell you more about later, and also is very involved with iHeart SF, which is trying to use blockchain solutions and Web3 ethos to solve the homelessness crisis in San Francisco. And we have, sorry, we can applaud for her. She's great. And we have Ben Bartlett, who's the vice mayor of Berkeley. Ben has been involved with several projects involving using the blockchain in government, including some municipal bonds in Berkeley and several other projects. And we have Rachel Rose, who is with the Decentralized University of Ethereum that is recently, and I keep on, which is running EdCon in Tokyo alongside Vitalik and some other prominent members in the Ethereum ecosystem.
Awesome. Thank you for having us, Sean.
So I'd love to give our panelists some time to talk about their projects. Nicole, do you want to start first?
Sure. So I am the director of community for Geo, which is a Web3 browser and knowledge graph app built on the graph. And so every Wednesday we host a meetup here at House of Web3 from 12 to 1:30, and we talk about how to use Web3 solutions to solve some of San Francisco's biggest challenges. You'll see all over the House of Web3, you'll see this kind of slogan, let's solve the world's biggest challenges. But we felt that since we're here in San Francisco, it's really important to start here in our home. And the biggest challenge that San Francisco is facing today is its homeless crisis. It's a very multidimensional challenge that really requires a lot of deep understanding to unravel some of these issues. So we host a meetup here every week, and we have an incredible community of people that show up, from Web3 enthusiasts, activists, nonprofits, people who are doing really incredible work in this space. And we're all learning together. We have speakers come in to talk about the issues. And from that community, we've also spawned 5 DAOs that are focused on different aspects of this issue. So we have a DAO for street outreach, and we have our representative here, Anne-Marie Bustamante, who's leading that for us. We have another one focused on interim housing. We have Dan Cordy here from interim housing. We have workforce development with Eric Forst in the back. And then we have mentorship, which is led by another gentleman, Scott Morris, who isn't here with us tonight. And finally, what am I missing? Recovery DAO, led by Kent McCormick and Nikita Mehta. So super excited to be launching these DAOs, and really this is a bootstrap effort, and we are making a lot of progress, and we're really building an incredible community that is very passionate about these issues. So if you're interested, please join us on a Wednesday. You can scan here to add it to your calendar, and you can also scan this QR code here to get more information about how to join a DAO. And if you're interested, you can also just come talk to me. So thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Nicole. Rachel, do you want to talk about what you're working on?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Rachel. Before I go into my introduction, can we give a round of applause to the event organizers, to Sean, to Lou? We got an OG in the house today, okay?
And Kyle as well.
And Kyle, yes. So I've been hearing about Crypto Mondays for years, the couple years I've been in Web3, and Lou, you're just like an OG in the space. So really, really honored to be here. So my name is Rachel. Some of you might know me from my work at Opolis, also very involved in the ETH Denver community, which has led me to my work at the University of Ethereum. So why I'm so passionate about this, right, is the education piece of Web3, right? For people to care about it, for us to onboard more users, people have to understand why they should care, what tangible problems in our world that crypto can solve, right? So every week on Wednesdays, we actually release our workshops, host and curate them. So we bring on different guests, experts to speak on topics like Ben, about solving real world problems in Web3, right? So one of these conversations that we started having at the University of Ethereum was how can we use microbonds to fund building a well in Africa, right? So solving public goods and humanitarian issues as well. So that's something I've become really passionate about since that conversation. And we chatted with the Princess Sarah from Sierra Leone. So that's a conversation that's still going to this day. And we're actually looking to build a well in the village of Bumpe in Sierra Leone. So that's a conversation that still to this day is close to my heart, and actually seeing a conversation unfold into a real world impact. That's what I'm passionate about. And yeah, on the EdCon piece, we're actually throwing the Ethereum Developers Conference in Tokyo this year with Vitalik, our honorary president. So if anyone's looking to get involved, we're looking for community partners. We're also looking for students, blockchain clubs, and universities that are looking to get involved with UETH. So yeah, that's like the TLDR. And yeah, thank you all for having me.
Yay, thank you so much, Rachel. Ben, do you want to say anything?
Thank you, thank you. And I want a scholarship to this University of Ethereum.
Yeah, we'll consider. We'll consider.
Yeah,
I'll reach out to HR.
I think I've already paid the tuition and gas fees through the years. I think I want to get in there.
We all have.
Kyle and Lou and Sean, my good friend, and thank you for hosting us here. Really exciting. It's funny, I got into crypto back in 2016, I think it was, and we got into it because in that era in Berkeley there was some deaths in the street, there were some homeless people dying, and we figured that with the corporate tax cuts, it would be harder to raise money for homeless housing, so let's crowdfund it. And at that year, it was a serious bull run was happening. It was really happening, and so we're like, okay, well let's crowdfund the solution. And so we sourced the community, talked to everyone we knew, and they all became my friends, including the people that created this company that we're in now. Thank you, House of Edge and Node. Thank you. And so we ended up creating a model mechanism to crowdfund for public good and achieve tax benefit and make it affordable and let these instruments that invest in community be cheap and fast and at the same time precision based. Because around the world, you have the same sort of dis-ease everywhere. You have a detriment in infrastructure. You have bridges are crumbling, et cetera. Not the bridge from the boat crash. That's a different story. Baltimore. There was there's roads, bridges, education, healthcare. Everything is in deficit around the world. The older generation, the people above us, decided to share nothing with us. They got in while it was getting good, and they shared nothing with the next generation. Try to buy a house, right? So all over the country, all over the world, you have this need to build new things and no money. And you also have, on the other hand, people with no income and very little income and no velocity of money, they call it. Money's not moving. So crypto and our iterations of blockchain and its applications are meant to do that. And if you want to read the Bitcoin white paper, or the original one, it's very clear in that paper. That is a revolutionary document that was born of the crash in 2008. So make no mistake, the business you are in is the business of revolution. And so it's nice that we're having, the build token on Ethereum. The Wall Street's coming in. All the props we're getting in now from Wall Street because we knew this was coming. But you have to remember, this technology is composable, it's decentralized, and its core function is to create wealth outside of the monetary system. Don't forget that. And so, in those years, I became a crypto lawyer, advising people, advising funds, and advising companies. And the governor appointed me to the blockchain working group for the state. It was a think tank, and we came up with new ways to benefit and decentralize banking for the state, for people, for the underbanked, and all that's on the table. It's all on the table right now. Piece by piece, people are solving the solutions we need and remembering that technology has one purpose, and that is to extend our reach. The first time they took a stick and knocked an apple out of the tree, that was technology. So remember what you're doing. What you're doing has a purpose. It is to extend our reach and to make life more livable for people. And that's all I got to say.
My
Yeah,
God.
thank you. That's
Woo!
inspiring. I forgot to mention Ben is an excellent crypto lawyer and strategist. So if you need any help on your project, go talk to him. I mean, he might want money, but pay him money.
Or meme coins.
Yeah, you can pay him in Doge. Okay, guys. So, and feel free to ask questions anytime you want out there. But often the first question I get when I start talking about this stuff with my friends is, why do we do this on Web3? Why do we do this on the blockchain? Like, why not improve public goods just the way normal people do? And I'm curious how you guys would answer that question or do.
Well, when you look at the issues that San Francisco is facing today, a lot of the issues really boil down to centralization. Our centralized government isn't able to handle these issues. There's a lot of red tape around it, and they're not very agile. So using a decentralized solution, it's a new way of thinking. It's disruptive, right? And so it requires some testing, and once we get proof of concept, then we can start to really move forward. So that's really what we're testing right now, is can we offer decentralized solutions using Web3 technology? And if we can prove that, we can make real disruptive change.
I love that. I definitely agree with that. And something else about Web3 and blockchain in general, right, is it's a borderless way to connect us. And I think it's a more streamlined solution because government is slow, policymaking is slow, right? But we have a way, I mean, through DAOs, look at the Constitution DAO, right? Like they were able to gather all those people and raise millions of dollars in such a short amount of time. So we're working in a space where we're borderless and we're connected around the world, and we have the ability to streamline innovation, I believe.
Certainly. And this is the,
Yeah, absolutely. But let Ben finish and then.
wait, who are you?
Who are you?
Are you an expert? She's my friend. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I was going to say the same thing. You know, the status quo, like I said, is geared towards maintaining status quo. And government is captured, business is captured, and the wealth is captured. So anything that allows you to have a through line of activity and generation outside of the status quo, you have to engage. And it's so rare you get that.
Thank you so much. Just because I am, I guess I have a little identity of not being a super scientific or math person. And the language around crypto is so vague. And even the language shared right now is vague. So my question is, what are, we can say it's a complex issue, which it is, homelessness, but what are concrete ways that this decentralized money can solve problems?
So, right now, I'll be honest, our initial approach at building these DAOs here at House of Web3 is centralized because we're a centralized group of people. We meet on Wednesdays, we have Zoom calls, we make decisions and try to take action in some way. But the idea is that by using smart contracts and creating systems that are foolproof, it can scale, and then hopefully other cities and other areas can adopt some of these systems and employ them in their area. So initially it is a little centralized, but we're using these Web3 ethos and building them with that in mind so that it can be scalable and then eventually become more decentralized.
Also, quick comment on the language thing. That's something I've been thinking about a lot recently, and not so much that it's vague, but I feel like there is a lot of jargon. There's a lot of vernacular in the space that can be like off-putting to people who aren't familiar. So I feel like it's really good for us being in the space to kind of break that down and explain concepts as much as possible in layman's terms. Like I actually had a slide at ETH Denver when I gave my talk, which was like, how do you explain DAOs to grandma, right? Like, and I don't know if anybody knows Always Sunny in Philadelphia, but it was like Charlie Day trying to like explain what a DAO is, like looking all crazy. But yeah, pretty much like digital on-chain cooperatives, right? I try and take words like that, like DAOs, for instance, and break it down. So it's a little less off-putting for people coming into our space and trying to learn.
Cool. Thank you for the question. Yeah, please just yell and scream and wave your hands if you have any questions, and I'll eventually see you. Yeah, so I'm curious, guys. So I feel like there have been a lot of DAOs that have sprung up around public goods, and I'm curious if you all think that DAOs are like, what advantages and disadvantages DAOs have compared to even other like Web3 organizations, or that, yeah, I would love to hear you guys talk about that.
So DAOs, DAOs are a great concept, and I think their notion of a digital cooperative where you're not present, but you're all in the decision-making process with governance rules for how to do this, do that. It's really wonderful. It's great. The issue is that until now, the execution has been somewhat tedious and not very much fun and hard to use. So I do think, though, that the technologies of communication are improving, and I think AI is going to be helpful as well. So AIs can feel more intuitive, right? When you're in it, doing it, voting on things, doing things. And they're also a bit risky because of the you're essentially all liable for what you do, right? So that's an issue. But I think the overarching concept of DAOs is the future. So in 1982, everyone had a corporation. There were millions of C corporations. And then that year, Wyoming, maybe 79, one of the years, Wyoming introduced the LLC. And at first, it was a little sprinkling, and now it's all LLCs with a few corporations. So DAOs, which also became first licensed in Wyoming, the DAO entity is on track to become the next cooperative business structure. And so I think they're very important. It's going to make it more fun to use.
Yeah, I just want to comment on the compliance piece, because that's something I've been thinking about for a couple of years for individuals working in Web3 and working on DAOs. There are a couple projects. If any of you are a founder of a DAO or working on a DAO, is anybody familiar with My DAO here? Adam Miller, OX Thriller. Yes, awesome. So My DAO is a really good project for incorporating a DAO LLC, so your project is compliant. And then Opolis, which is the project that I came from, for the past 2 years, I've been working to set up independent contributors on DAOs with their own LLC so that they're compliant with their taxes. They have an LLC, they have access to corporate level benefits. So that's a really great project. If you are earning in crypto and earning in Web3, you are liable for that income. So it's really good to make sure that you're compliant, and kind of takes the target off of our backs, right, in our industry, so that, like, the SEC isn't coming after us, and like you don't have to worry about the IRS coming after you. So.
Yeah. Cool. So I'm curious. I know that I think all of you work with groups that are not in Web3 in all of your projects, and I'm curious how their response has been when you interact with them and try and work with them.
So our community is very diverse. We are working with nonprofits. We're working with faith-based community. We are working with people who, are not at the cutting edge of technology. And they're here because they like the passion that we're sharing for solving these challenges here in San Francisco and beyond. And they've been very open-minded, actually, to getting their first crypto wallet. So we help them to get their first crypto wallet. We get them on chain. We are helping them to really migrate to Web3, and they're very open to it. And sometimes I have to use the the reference that there was a migration from the yellow pages to the internet at some point, right? Like there was a mass migration. You had to get churches onto the internet, grocery stores onto the internet, and a lot of places, dry cleaners onto the internet. And it was like, why would I ever do that? But now it's like mandatory. Obviously, it's the only way people are going to find you. And eventually that will be Web3. So we're doing this kind of early stage migration with them, getting them their wallets, helping them create a profile on Web3 using the Geo platform. And they're early adopters, and who knew that they would be some of the first ones to have a presence on Web3. It's been a fun process, and we're looking forward to bringing more people on chain.
Yeah, I have to say, same for me with my experience. Ultimately, I found that people are eager to learn. They want to know more. I've done a workshop at USC, UCLA. Students want to learn more. Working with different colleges, universities, and blockchain clubs, they are eager to learn. And working with Princess Sarah and the Sierra Leone Rising nonprofit, just talking with them, they want to learn more about how they can leverage this technology for good. So I think people want to know. I think the curiosity is there, and that's why I believe that education is so important.
I'm curious where you guys see this space going. Like in 5 years from now, if we have this panel, what will we be talking about, or what's really important for us to pay attention to now?
Well, the challenge is going to be to maintain your independence as the banks come in and take over DeFi, as the large players sort of take over the industry. And AI is going to make it even easier to build something, which is good. That's democratizing. So I think the challenge will be to maintain your vision and the products you want to make and the solutions you want to bring, but it will be easier. So I think coming up, we're going to see a coin for everybody, a smart token with your identity and your ability to transact and your friends and family coins, and a coin for everyone. And you have to realize too, before the Civil War, America had like 2,000 denominations of currencies. And in most states, the Union, local currencies are allowed by law. And personally, you can interact any way you want to. You can make a coupon to meet you for lunch, right? Or whatever. So the individual tokenomics and also data sales, passive income, things like that, personal data markets, allowing people to monetize their life, capturing the data markets of persons, that's going to be key. You'll see that next year actually with the AI assistants, the AI agents who will be your agent in the data marketplace at real-time bidding scenarios, earning you money and working for you. And of course, AI's native currency is crypto. That's why you buy tokens to develop with, these platforms like OpenAI. So that's my prediction.
Go ahead.
See, I think it's really dependent on how a lot of things go. I mean, we have an election coming up. I really think in the United States, it's complicated for us, right? But I do think AI is going to be a very integral part of crypto, as it already is. And yeah, I think a lot is dependent in the United States on regulators and the SEC, and yeah.
Yeah, I hope that a DAO can become a household word. People are familiar with it. They know what that means. I think that things are changing now faster than ever before. People can adapt, they can learn new things, they can accept new ways of operating. I mean, just look at, all of us now walking around with a cell phone, with a computer in our pockets. We're having our groceries delivered to our homes. We're ordering them when we're on the bus or when we're waiting for, our doctor's appointment. We're using, decentralized distribution networks regularly, right? Like Uber, Amazon, etc. So it's like, it's the next step. And I think it's disruptive, very disruptive right now. But as we move forward, I'm hoping that this becomes a popular idea and something that you don't even think twice about, and you trust decentralization. Because right now there's, been like 100 years of trusting big centralized corporations, government, banking, etc. But now we're at this point where, do we really trust those organizations? Can we do something different? But there's still a risk there. So we need to build some trust. I think we can do that pretty quickly. And before we start really, really making real change there.
I have a number of friends and family members who work in public goods policy making and are extremely frustrated the choice to go into policy making is a question in itself, but I feel that getting into Web3 would be so beneficial, having an understanding of that and bringing it to the groups that they work with. And also, they are so busy, they don't have the space of cognitive, they don't have cognitive space to take it in, or emotional space to take it in. What are your thoughts on that, since you all are working in some ways with public goods?
Well, honestly, the issue is that unlike other technologies, with crypto and Web3, people focus on the back end part of it. You talk about the smart contracts. You talk about the chains and things. When you send email, you don't wonder how Google does all this stuff to get your message across. And that's because the legacy technologies don't have their Radio Shack ethic. They focus on user experience. And so I think to your colleagues who don't have the bandwidth to engage it, I don't blame them. You get a wallet, you write down 12 words. If you lose it, you're dead. Right. Right. It makes no sense. So I think when it makes sense for them to use, they'll use it immediately. And that's the call to all you developers out there: make your products easy to use.
Yes, absolutely. Because eventually you won't need your own wallet. It's all going to be vertically integrated, and you're just going to enter a password just as you do enter your Google password. You have access to your Gmail, your Google Slides, your Docs, your calendar, etc. So it will eventually become easier, and you won't really have to think about it. It's just right now in this early phase, there's a lot of complex things that we need to, and steps that we need to take to make it work.
To what extent, though, do you think that it's important for people to have an understanding of like the foundation of how it works? Because it's actually so intuitive, and yet it's so foreign to so many people because we haven't lived in it. We've been trained away from that kind of thinking, that kind of acting, that kind of behavior.
One of the things that comes to mind for me is we need to make this stuff more fun to use, more intuitive. UI and UX can't be underestimated. It has to be easy for people to understand. I think a really good example of this recently, does anybody know Nouns DAO? Nouns? Yeah, I recently started getting involved with Nouns, and I feel like the community just being so welcoming and it being such a fun global collective of people, I feel like that's made it easier for me to get involved with that community and, to even create a proposal over the past couple of months. So I don't know, I feel like my answer is we need to make things more fun, more easy to use, and more welcoming to the newcomers.
So not important. Not important.
Like government and banks and banking the unbanked. I mean, I think in America it's not really that big of a problem, but it might be in the future when you're competing with MasterCard and Visa. But in other countries, where do you see Bitcoin and crypto and Web3 coming into helping people who who wait in line 3-hour lines to get bank accounts? They get a piece of plastic that's not backed by MasterCard or Visa. When these Bitcoins and stuff come into these industries, how do governments respond to this? Is this like a danger to them? Is it aiding them? How should they respond to it?
It's hostile. In California, we designed the CalCoin initiative, CalCoin program. I wrote it, and essentially it's a platform owned by the state to exit decentralized banking for underbanked people throughout the state, and it's great. But it's not helpful when Bank of America has the debit card business tied to welfare, right? It's not helpful when all your money placement is in the banks. So, after now I've been in office for 8 years now, I now tell people the best solution is to do parallel systems. Don't even waste your time with the government business. Do parallel, and eventually the natural migration will happen, and one will collapse into the other. Like just make a bank.
I do have one comment on the unbanked portion of what you asked. So on the micro, not on the macro scale, but on the micro scale, looking at what they're doing in Ghana, I actually did a workshop with the head of fintech and innovation from the Bank of Ghana, and they're actually looking to implement, I don't know if anybody's familiar with the currency in Ghana, it's called CD. They're actually looking to create eCD in Ghana, which can actually help regions that are completely unbanked, like some rural regions of Ghana. So I'm actually in talks to do the 3i Africa Summit with the Bank of Ghana this May. So that's something I'm looking to explore. Like, how can we help unbanked people in the world to have more access to financial liberation? So that's a huge focus of mine recently.
Hi, folks. Question from my side. I'm curious about your thoughts on the amount of unpaid labor that's done by members of DAOs to keep up with what's going on and vote on different proposals. And then also the shift in narrative towards retroactive public goods funding, where people are expected to work up front and hope for donations later.
Well, we're experimenting a lot with the model for compensation. We believe in compensating people for the work that they're doing, and it is a little bit of I mean, we use Aragon for our back end of our DAO, and you have to write the proposal, and you have to agree on a fee structure, and then you get paid for the work that you're doing as soon as it's approved. So we believe in paying people to build the DAO, to operate activities within the DAO, and so we're experimenting with that now, but I mean, we're small scale, but it's like once we kind of unlock the system, then it's scalable.
Yeah, that's important because you have to hone in on that, because that is an issue. And remember, you don't want to import the legacy problems of the old money world. And right now, crypto has a higher Gini coefficient than money. That's a Gini coefficient. Do you know what that is? Raise your hand. Okay, it's an inequality metric. Right, so essentially, crypto is more unequal than greenbacks at this point, and pounds and francs and gold hoarders. So we did import the problems, and you're describing a labor exploitation issue that exists here in the default world, I call it, also in crypto. So it behooves all of you and all of us to work hard to make the system work more equitably.
It was great to learn about there's the California blockchain working group, but I saw it was sunsetted on 2022. So I'm wondering, Ben, maybe you could comment on where the status is now with the government and in California, what they're trying to do.
So we wrote the report. This is the governor convened a special think tank to come up with ways to use blockchain in California. So I was part of this team, and we wrote a report with different initiatives, and one by one they're being implemented. Slowly, very, very slowly.
Awesome. I have a question. As far as
in terms of California, my understanding is that DFPI is currently coming up with a regulatory framework for crypto. Do you have any thoughts that you can share in terms of either approaches that they're taking, steps that we can take on our end as entrepreneurs and builders to make sure that it doesn't end up being a terrible set of regulations? Anything on that subject?
Yeah, so they've had a number of workshops on this with industry, a number of, input sessions. And their goal is they don't want to recreate the New York BIT license. New York has a license. It's very hard to work with. And they want to have some more easy to work with. However, they are definitely into protecting consumers. So, but the good news is if you meet the requirements, the California market is wide open, which is robust.
Anybody have more questions?
Of course, we're all in the shadow of Sam Bankman-Fried, got sentenced to 25 years. So he set us all back a decade. It's all every meeting you hear about him. Every meeting, FTX, and Lou, you got the FTX shirt on. Where is he going?
Lou walked out.
All right, amazing, amazing, yeah. So
He's changing his shirt right now.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, right.
You
Thanks a
shamed
lot.
him. Any other questions? Anybody have questions? Curious if you guys had any questions for each other. Sorry to put you on the spot.
I gotta think of one now.
I would love to invite you both to join our We Heart SF meetups here on Wednesday. And all of you, please, everyone's welcome. It's an open invitation. You don't even have to RSVP or let us know that you're coming. We have an amazing lunch. We have yoga here at 10 a.m., fresh pressed juices. It's a lovely way to spend a Wednesday, and it's time well spent because I guarantee you're going to walk away feeling inspired, learning something, well fed. And yeah, there's some flyers over here that Sean has. And we would love to get you involved. And we are, as I mentioned, we're bootstrapping this effort. So we're looking for bright minds with big hearts that really want to get involved in building this. And I would love to invite the two of you to join us.
Already there. Let's go. I have a question for everyone here. Are there any students in the room? Anyone from a university, college? Awesome. Well, let's connect after. We are looking to onboard students from different universities and blockchain clubs, and we can support you in hosting your own local meetup. So yeah, we're also funding builders that come out to EdCon. If you build something cool, we can talk.
And I just want to thank both of you. It's amazing to see two young people with the right aspect in mind. You're caring about people, caring about the future, and you're actually using this technology for good. And it's reassuring because I'm so jaded, super jaded, but really thankful to spend time with you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
It's been
Ben.
a pleasure. Thank you all for showing up.
Thank you.
Do you have time for one more question? Then we can let everybody leave.
I'm from Tennessee, and coming out to San Francisco and seeing all these DAOs and this blockchain innovation, you guys are really like living here is like, it might seem like you guys are doing something a bit more on a smaller scale, but this is like a model for the country, for the world. So like, how are you guys planning to scale your DAO infrastructure? Because Memphis is known for tons of nonprofits. We suffer similar problems that Oakland runs into and stuff like that. How are you guys planning to share this innovative model of collaboration to the world?
So, right now our vision is that we will be using Web3 technology to solve the world's biggest challenges. But like I said, we're focusing here at home. We want to prove the model that it works. And then once we have the systems built, it's very easy to scale and adopt and share. But really right now it's about focusing on these local efforts, and really the phase we're in right now is really building community and building human connection and connecting with the issues themselves and understanding them. That's the first step to solving any problem, right? You can't just come in with solutions without having an understanding. And then what's going to happen is once we understand, and Memphis's issues are going to be similar, but they might have slight unique local differences, right? So you might have to take the concept and the technology and adapt it slightly to that community. Let's see how that works. But right now we're just really focused here. And if we can make a difference, and I think this is a really interesting vision so Yaniv Tal is the founder of Geo, and he is one of the co-founders of the Graph, Edge and Node, and here at House of Web3. When we first started working on this project, a question came up. Well, if we keep, working on this problem and making a difference, we're going to get all the homeless people to come to San Francisco. And he's like, great. If we can make this a hub of healing and we can make it a system that really works and people come here to be healed, great. That's really what San Francisco has been known for. They have opened the gates to all the people that have felt other, right? Over the years, historically, we're known for that. And so what if we can solve this problem? And unhoused people come here and they heal. We'll figure out the money part later. We're not worried. This is not a money or a financial issue. It's really about having the foresight to like understand the issues and care about it and not let the politics get involved.
So I want to comment on the scalability piece and decentralization. So something we're doing at the University of Ethereum, and we actually are a nonprofit. We are working to empower students, universities, blockchain clubs. We want to help those individuals to be able to host their own local meetups and start their own communities, right? And eventually we want, like I mentioned, we want to accelerate those projects that are built from these communities and built from these students. So that's something we're doing. I'm actually taking point on our community partnership. So, if anybody's familiar with College DAO, that's a new community partnership we're working on. And just kind of creating this network effect through these community partnerships, onboarding different communities, different students, working with a ton of different universities and blockchain clubs. So that's kind of our mode of scalability and decentralization.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you all for showing up. Thank you, Lou, for starting this whole thing.
Lou.
Thank you to our panelists. You should support all of their projects. They're very important. Thank you for Kyle, my co-organizer, for putting up with me. And thank you so much to the House of Web3 for hosting us. You should work here. Their rates are very competitive compared to other co-working spaces in San Francisco. Thank you all.
Thank you for having us.
Okay.